Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today at this webinar. I'm very excited to be speaking to you about the ABM Gut Check for this session. My name is Carlyn Manly, Head of Marketing here at Folloze, where we help large enterprise execute ABM engagement programs at scale. And today we have with us Nina Wooten, who is the Director of Demand Gen at DiscoverOrg. Nina, would you like to do a little intro?
Sure. Thanks, Carlyn. Hi, everybody. I'm Nina. I'm the Director of Demand Gen at DiscoverOrg. So Carlyn and Folloze are already familiar with who we are and what we do as DiscoverOrg customers. But for anyone who's new to us, DiscoverOrg delivers the prospect intelligence you need to drive revenue. So for salespeople, that means helping find new opportunities, delivering a clear line of sight into the major lines of business, and the context you need to craft timely and relevant messages. And for marketing, we're helping outbound marketers source and qualify new leads and maintain a clean database. And for staffing, we offer a suite of tools to help identify new staffing opportunities and giving you direct access to hiring managers and HR departments.
Great. So a few weeks ago, Nina reached out to us, and she really, as a customer, she really wanted to find out what were some of the things we have implemented here on the data side to ensure that we're running a really successful ABM program. And I was really excited at the chance to share our story here at Folloze. So now, just really quick, what we're going to cover today is the 3 steps. Basically, are these accounts still the right accounts? How accurate is your data? And I'm excited for Nina's section where she's going to dive in and talk about, information about the wins and losses and what that story tells us and how that is going to help us refine our ABM program. So here at Folloze, we primarily target and sell to large enterprise companies. And if you truly want to execute a successful land and expand strategy, you will really need to set up your buying journey like a bow tie funnel. This can be really thought of as an infinity loop for all of your efforts, where you're basically always treating a customer like a potential buyer. When selling to a larger enterprise, about 70% of the organizational revenue will primarily come from the post-initial sale. And unfortunately, much of the efforts and mindsets are not quite realized, and organizations are slowly realizing this. Marketing will really need to work hand in hand with sales and customer success on the retention and expansion of client accounts long after the initial deal. So you got to really look at the funnel as a true lifetime funnel, from start to finish. So the ultimate goal is to not only secure that lifetime client, but also obtain new customers. You should also really always be marketing to new accounts while engaging and expanding current ones. And of course, in enterprise, you will need to deliver all of this at scale. At the end of the day, you will also need an account list that is on point to support all of your efforts, right? So you've made the investment, you know how to target, but at the end of the day, you would like to make sure that your account list and all your data is on point and is kept always up to date. So running a successful ABM requires regular monitoring, evaluation, and reprioritizing throughout the program cycle. As many of you know, this is not a one and done process at all. And like I mentioned earlier, you really need to review your program consistently and continually to ensure that you have a regular cadence to review each area of your ABM strategy. Today we're going to focus on your account data and how this is maintained and why it's an integral part of your program.
And the evaluation should cover everything from the actual accounts you're targeting to the content you're serving them, the cadence, the channels leveraged, and the personas that you're also targeting. I think the key here is to balance this with allowing for enough time to pass to see results and to collect meaningful data. So I don't think that the reevaluation you should change your cadence or your personas, month to month, but I do think that it's worth spending the time, to revisit, depending on how long your sales cycle is, to let one of the programs run and take a look and say, was this effective or not? And if it wasn't effective, how can we optimize that?
Great. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, step 1, account validation. Once you've established account criteria and identified your targets, you will need to document this process, but also establish a cadence in which you will review this list with sales, your marketing team, and customer success. I say this because this will really ensure that you are on track or need to make any adjustments to reprioritize. Here at Folloze, we also run several reports on which accounts are getting the most traction, the most engagement, and which one we're seeing a high movement and a high count in open opportunities. Later in the presentation, I will show you how we track, maintain, and identify our accounts in Salesforce.
I think it's really important to have an open line of communication between sales and marketing on this step. Sales is the front line that has the personal contact with these accounts, so they should really be used and looked at as a resource to help improve the messaging on the marketing side of things. There are just so many things that from a surface level are easy to understand, but salespeople are the ones that are on the phone who are having those conversations that can get you the more nuanced details that can make a really big impact on your messaging strategy there. I think it's also really important to reestablish and maintain guidelines and expectations that sales and marketing have for each other. This allows for adjustments to be made in order to better target the accounts and have more alignment between the sales and marketing messaging strategy there.
Yep, great point, Nina.
So this here is a fit rating matrix that was a result of a collaboration between the demand gen team, the sales development, and learning development teams here at DiscoverOrg. So this matrix has really helped keep us aligned and focused on our target market and remove some of that back and forth that comes with agreeing on what is a good fit account. It's also helped us to identify more good fit accounts and faster because we have a baseline criteria established. So, as I previously mentioned, there's always nuances, but this is a better way to look at your universe instead of the entire universe.
Great. So as Nina mentioned, your universe. So here at Folloze, we absolutely know our universe, and I would like to share with you kind of behind the curtains how we actually classify and track our data within Salesforce. So for example, in Salesforce, we have a field called ABM priority, and we prioritize our accounts. Instead of, like here's your top counts, mid and low, we prioritize by A, B, C, D's, and E's. And obviously, our top targets are all of the A accounts, and then it trickles down from there. There's a field called account status, and here this will tell you where they are in the buying cycle, which is super important when you're selling to enterprise. This is updated automatically by pulling details from optees and tasks and also campaign statuses as well as engagements. The account type, this one identifies if they are a customer, past customer, reseller, partner, etc. Again, very useful when you're running a funnel bow tie campaign. The last opportunity stage. Now, this one is really interesting because when you're selling to enterprise, you are selling to multiple buying units, and this will reflect the current opportunity stage submitted for that account. Okay, let's take a second to think about this. You want to track, if you're looking at an account report, what was that last opti stage, right? And this tells marketing, this tells sales, this really informs customer success, where they are in the buying journey. And then my favorite one is number of open opportunities. So when you're running a land and expand type of program, or in land and expand world, and when you're thinking customer lifetime value, there should be multiple open opportunities for an account. So if I see an account in our top targets and they have multiple business units, there better be multiple opportunities open. And then last but not least, customer success. In our account layout, we have a customer success section. This is super important because this really gives you the status and the details post-sale, and this could be an expansion sale or the initial deal. And this will tell you where they are in their progression. So if they're a new customer, are they in the implementation or the onboarding stage? It also provides you the account health, the number of users, and the renewal date, so on and so forth. So you can kind of see how these sets of data is going to give you a really a pretty full 360 picture of your account and how you are pacing to that land and expand process. So, okay, I mentioned that we know our universe, but you also want to expand your universe. What I mean by that is that you want to identify other accounts that fit the criteria, or what we call the industry you guys would know as lookalike accounts, because you don't want to miss out. We leverage DiscoverOrg mashup on Salesforce and the account view feature, which Nina will be sharing later in the presentation. All right, step 2, data accuracy. As a marketer, I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping your data up to date. We leverage DiscoverOrg and their Salesforce integration to really continually enrich our database. But however, it's not enough, especially when selling to large enterprise. In conjunction with the tools such as DiscoverOrg, you should also leverage your AEs and customer success for information like team hierarchy, the organizational climate, and identifying members of the buying committee. AEs know their accounts and have that established relationships with their contacts, while customer success are in tune with their champions and basically the day-to-day of the account. And also, we've seen team hierarchy change several times in large enterprise, especially when there are multiple buying units. Yes, this will take work to maintain, but again, I can't stress really enough the importance of this information for your expansion strategy. Sales and marketing and CS should really conduct regular check-ins like we do here in Folloze for any changes in an account, and then we update our data accordingly. This will really help, the marketing team deliver highly targeted messaging in their account-specific campaigns.
Yeah, and I think that lead scoring is a very important piece to a successful ABM strategy, especially within enterprise accounts where there are a lot of employees and a lot of moving pieces. We look at engagement across the account as a success metric in our ABM programs, and we use both of our Marketo and Salesforce connectors to help keep our database clean and improve our lead scoring programs that way. The connectors help us identify duplicates, bounced email addresses, and gaps in our prospecting data. For example, if Jane Doe is an SDR manager at one of our target accounts and gets promoted to a director of sales development, that's something we'd want to know and we'd want to score as closely timed as possible without leveraging internal personnel who's trying to manage and update records in near real time. So DiscoverOrg is doing that for us in the background so that our lists are up to date and they're cleansed and appended with the most important information we need to do our jobs. Moving on to step 3, this is where we review our win and loss data. So on our wins, we're looking at what commonalities they share and high conversion characteristics. And on our losses, we want to understand why and what characteristics they share as well. You want to understand some of the commonalities between the accounts that become customers. From there, you should determine what characteristics are indicators that an account is high converting compared to others. For instance, are a lot of your target accounts where you're winning located in a specific region, or do they have a certain employee count range that seems to be a sweet spot for you, or are they operating in a specific industry where you tend to win more? If there are clear characteristics of your wins that are seen across the board, that's really where you should be focusing your time and energy. And on the flip side of that, I think understanding your losses can be just as valuable as understanding your wins, because there will be times where maybe it seems like this would be a really good fit for us based on what we know, but then once we deploy our ABM strategy and we have our AEs and customer success reps calling into the account, like we mentioned before, there are nuances, and so they might uncover something that we wouldn't have known otherwise to give us an indication that maybe this industry is not a right fit, or maybe companies like them are not actually a great fit for us, and those should probably be pulled from our high-value strategic campaigns. We're also looking for the reasons why we're losing deals, so subjective statements like pricing, or it's not the right fit, or there's a lack of features, pain points, and then to look for the objective similarities of the industry and the company ties, or the scope of the product. And now here is really where we're going to bring all of the steps together. So this is, I would say, a really nice infographic that kind of paints the picture of what an ABM strategy looks like from a holistic view from your starting point to the end. And the point that I really want to make here is that this isn't, ABM is not a linear strategy. This is a circular strategy, so it never really ends, and you always start with pulling your accounts first. And what Carlyn and I have been discussing today is really around this measure and optimize stage. So once you've deployed your campaign from your set list of accounts, and you've orchestrated all your campaigns, and you've reviewed your wins and your losses, now's the time to take a look to say, are these still the right accounts? Are we still going after the right types of people at these accounts? Is our messaging effective? And all of the other tactics that you're deploying, are they operating as efficiently as they could be? And some of this has to do with your organization or your target accounts information as well. For example, if you launch a new product, well, then your market has changed. And if you go through internal structural changes within your organization and you now have a team dedicated to working a specific project or a specific region, your resources have changed, and those things affect your strategy. So in this stage here where you measure and you optimize and you decide, are we going to pull some of these accounts out of our ABM? Are we going to add some more accounts to your ABM list? Once you have that final list again, then it really just starts all over. And then you run it again, and then at the end you do this again. So it's a constant cycle. So this is our tool account view here, and this is what I use to help kind of paint a big picture of our wins and losses. So in the beginning of this year, we had launched a new data set, and we set out on an ABM campaign for this new data set. And when I looked at the companies where we won deals, I plugged in that list into Account View, which is a data visualization tool that DiscoverOrg offers as part of our suite of ABM tools. And Account View just helps me to quickly and easily identify the firmographics and technographic similarities in a set list of accounts. And then on the right-hand side here, it also generates a list of lookalike companies. So based on these criteria, so you can see that there are, in the revenue image here, you can see that it's about between 10 million and 100 million. That's kind of the sweet spot there. The primary industry in the computer software and information technology services. So you can continue to just drill down on these characteristics that you know are really good for your business, and then find more companies that look like them, and then take that to your team and sit down and say, are any of these good enough to be put into our ABM list? So I also think Account View is really great for looking at wins from different channels, like inbound, to take a closer look at who's coming to you to determine if there are more accounts out there that look like them that you should be reaching out to first. And here I'm going to pull up, it looks like we received a couple questions during this webinar. Carlyn, this one is for you. This one's from Jeff. He asks, how did you select your accounts and what was the criteria?
Sure. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. So for us, we target as, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. So the criteria were prime set of the company size, the revenue, and we have selected three to four target industries that we wanted to focus as our top priority or target accounts. And then from there, we jumped into the personas. And as you know, in enterprise, it's typically a buying committee that you're selling to, not to one person. So when we took all of that into account, then we knew who was going to be in the buying committee, take those personas from all of those companies and kind of start there in our strategy to how we were going to market to each account.
Great. One last question. This is from Renee. And this is, when it comes to expanding in an enterprise account, what are some of the first steps to take to hit the ground running? I think this is a really great question, and my advice would be the first, your first step is to reach out and leverage your internal contact to see, if they have any insight into areas of the organization that might be in need of your service. I'd also use department org charts, that's something DiscoverOrg offers, where we map out the organizational hierarchy of different departments and in different companies. And so I'd take a look at these org charts and determine where are the buying centers, who's heading those teams, what are they responsible for, and getting scoops involved to see, are there projects in the pipeline, or are there new hires coming on, or did anyone recently leave that was taking care of something that you might be able to help with, and there's a gap in the organization there. I would start sending content over to the valuable contacts at these different lines of the different buying centers, in the organization, to let them know you're already working with them, you work with, so-and-so on one team, and you'd want to reach out and be able to help them with their issues as well. And I think that's a great way to just build the groundswell and the buzz within the organization and strengthen your partnership. Okay, so that was our last question. Do you have any closing remarks or a way to contact you for more questions, Carlyn?
Sure. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. I can be reached at Carlyn, CARLYN, at Folloze, FOLLOZE.com. And please feel free to reach out. I love sharing and paying it forward. I've definitely have had some experience. I've been on the sales side, customer success, and now in marketing. So definitely feel free to reach out if you have any questions, or if you would like me to share any ideas or tips and tricks with you guys.
Great. And likewise, if anyone DiscoverOrg customer or not has any questions on how to optimize and strengthen their ABM campaigns, I'm more than happy to chat. You can reach out to us on Twitter. We're just at DiscoverOrg, or you can reach out to me directly. It's nina.wooten@discoverorg.com. Happy to chat anytime or answer any questions that you might have. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.